Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Will, and this is going to be my quick review for Spider-Man No Way Home. So quick disclaimer before I jump directly into this review. There's going to be two reviews for this. This is going to be a non-spoiler review, and then I'm doing a spoiler review because I can't talk about it without giving away key details of the movie. And you need to go see this movie. It is good. And also, too, I'm a longtime Spider-Man fan. All the way back to Spider-Man, the animated series, through all of the games, the comics. I'm just a huge fan of the character. I've liked a lot of different iterations of the character over the years. So this review might seem slightly biased a little bit, but overall, I just wanted to get those out of the way before talking about the movie as briefly and non-spoiler in this first video as I can. Like I said, there will be a spoiler review. Expect that to be released after this video is released as well. So, we are talking about, oh man, what a movie. We are talking about Spider-Man No Way Home today. This stars Tom Holland, Benedict Cumberbatch, Zendaya, Marissa Tomei, Jon Favreau, and Jason Batalon. These are all returning characters from previous iterations of Spider-Man within the MCU trilogy of movies. This takes place immediately after the events of Spider-Man Far From Home, where Peter's identity was revealed by Mysterio to the entire world, and we follow the fallout and ramifications of his choices and actions throughout the movie. In terms of the description of the movie, it's exactly what you see in the trailer. You know, Peter's dealing with the fallout from his identity being revealed, so he goes to Doctor Strange to ask him for help, trying to make the world forget that he is Spider-Man. In doing so, however, he unwittingly and accidentally causes the spell to go awry, opening up reaches of the multiverse where past villains from different Spider-Man franchises are coming in and wreaking havoc. So it's up to Peter to try to figure out a way to stop them and to return them to their point of origin. That's the basic premise of the movie, without giving away anything basically that wasn't said in the trailers. I will say this movie is great. It really is. As a fan of Spider-Man, I will say this has felt like the most he has been Spider-Man in any of the previous Homecoming movies that we've had. Not saying that anything is wrong with the previous two movies. I actually really love Homecoming and Far From Home. I think they're great movies. I see where this trilogy has led to really shaping Peter Parker, this version of Peter Parker, into the more grown-up version of Spider-Man that we've seen in previous iterations and that we've gotten for many, many years in the comics. Tom Holland is a great Peter Parker and a great Spider-Man. I think he toes the line very well between the two characters, and he embodies them both very, very, I don't want to say perfectly, but he is probably the damn closest we've got. In comparison to like some of the previous Spider-Man movies that we've gotten, I think Tobey Maguire is a great Peter Parker, and Spider-Man's a little kind of off to me a little bit, as much as I love Tobey Maguire. And Andrew Garfield, I felt was a better Spider-Man than he was a Peter Parker. But Tom Holland has really shown that he is the best of both in terms of that. Is he my favorite of the live action ones? It's a toss-up. They all have their great qualities and then positive points and things that work for and against them. I've loved the supporting cast of the Homecoming trilogy. I've loved Zendaya. I really believe the relationship between Peter and MJ in this iteration. I love the relationship he has with Ned as well. The three of them are a team, and they are some of the driving forces of Peter's actions in the movie. I love the inclusion of Doctor Strange. I think Benedict Cumberbatch and Tom Holland work really well together. I like the usage of Doctor Strange in this movie as well. And I will say this without giving anything away. I need to apologize for previous statements or opinions about Doctor Strange and some of the earlier trailers. I really thought his arrogance is what led to a lot of this happening, as well as Peter. But really, it's definitely it's really more of Peter's responsibility and Peter's actions that cause the events in the movie. And I think that's another thing about this movie that works really well, is that this really felt like Peter's story. While I love Homecoming and Far From Home, one of the biggest things is that I felt like the oversized shadow of Iron Man loomed heavily in those first two movies, between Iron Man being very present and being very active in Peter's development in the first movie. Whereas towards the third act of that movie, it felt more like Tom Holland's movie. It felt more like Spider-Man's movie without the heavy influence of Iron Man or the driving motivations of Iron Man. And with Far From Home, again, even though Tony Stark wasn't there, a lot of his previous actions or previous influences on the greater world had more of a driving force in the movie than Peter's story did. Peter's story was important more than the first movie, but it still didn't feel like his movie, not towards until like you get closer to the end of the movie. Whereas this movie firmly was Peter's movie. It was his story. It was really the major beats and moments that needed to happen for him to become the adult that he is. And it's fitting that it's also all takes place during his senior year of high school. As each movie has taken place during a particular year of high school, it really did feel like a finale for this Homecoming trilogy. It didn't feel like other movies where, oh, you're going to get an extra thing or there's probably going to be another movie down the road. If we do get another movie down the road, I feel like the version that is represented of Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, in that movie, if Tom Holland is the one in the movie or not, which, let's be real, he probably will be, I think it will be a much more mature version of the character, one who has gone through heartache and loss and pain and has come out really, accepting the responsibility to his great power. I flipped it on you there. Yeah, I did. I think the villains in the movie are great. They're all villains that we've seen before in previous Spider-Man movies. And another thing with those villains is that they felt like they were just pulled from those other movies. There wasn't any major changes to their characters or their motivations and things like that, which I felt worked really well, especially if let's say you binged all the previous movies before watching this one, which you don't have to. And that's another thing about why this movie works. I was concerned going in that you were going to have to do your homework if you weren't already a big fan of the franchise or of comic book movies in general. I think the movie does a good job presenting everything without a lot of previous knowledge necessary. It's beneficial and makes certain moments and certain cameos and certain reveals that much more important and that much more emotionally impactful. I don't know if that's a word. Have much more of an emotional impact if you didn't know. But you can still go in and enjoy the movie. It's not like an Avengers like Infinity War or Endgame where you really want to have that sort of pre-setup for certain movies to understand truly what's going on. Whereas this one, I think the filmmakers did a really great job with this. John Watts, who is the director of this movie, he's directed all three of the Homecoming movies. Or the Home movies, the Home trilogy, however you want to call this. But I think he's been a great fit for these three movies. I think all three movies work very well and very successfully and hold true to the overall inspiration from the comics that the characters are coming from, but still giving more of a modern take, a modern spin on it. So I'm excited that he is the one directing the Fantastic Four reboot. I'm super excited for those movies if he is the one at the helm of it. The action in this movie is fantastic. It's some of the best ones I've seen in a Spider-Man movie. The different set pieces are great. I love the way the characters work with and against each other. And the way that it ends is probably the most truest version of the character of Spider-Man that we have gotten. It's not necessarily a happy ending, but it is a definitive ending for this Home trilogy. And I think it works. I can see some people not being happy with the ending because of the emotional toll that it might take on a person, but I think it is a proper ending for this trilogy, and it works really well. It is reminiscent of certain comics, mainly the One More Day, Brand New Day, and One Moment in Time, I believe, are the main comics that it pulls from in terms of the emotional stakes of those or what they did with the character. And that could be a good or bad thing depending on your opinion. I think it's a good thing in terms of wrapping up this Home trilogy in a satisfying way. There was a lot of things that happened in the movie that I kind of speculated were going to happen, but there's a lot of things that did catch me off guard and things I wasn't expecting. How certain characters were used was something else that I wasn't expecting as well. And I think it wraps up this trilogy in a very nice bow, leaving the door open for where certain characters can go and what we could expect maybe coming from the future of the franchise, if it continues or if it doesn't continue in terms of the arrangement between Marvel and Sony. But that being said, I love the action in the movie. The one thing I could say that might be a hindrance for some people would be some of the quips or the quirkiness or the banter throughout the movie. There's a lot of it. But that's indicative of most Marvel MCU movies, so it didn't bother me as much, but I could see how it might be a little too much in certain parts or certain scenes that could affect certain emotional, resonance to you as an audience member, potentially. But overall, it wasn't necessarily a knock on me, but again, I'm a little bit biased when it comes to this. But that might be the one thing I can say, if I take myself out of it, could say that could be kind of a drag for some people if that sort of humor is not your bag. I think the story is paced pretty well. It does get through the first 40 minutes of the story pretty quickly. It does have a good amount of passage of time to get to the main bulk of the movie, and it may or may not flow with some people, but for me, it wasn't an issue in terms of a pacing issue. I thought the pacing was fine. But overall, Spider-Man No Way Home is a fantastic movie, personally. As a fan of Spider-Man, I felt like it perfectly wrapped up this trilogy of Spider-Man movies, I think, better than even the Raimi one did. I think Spider-Man 3 wasn't necessarily a great ending for that one, but for this one, I think for the character, it respects the character. It showed that the other two movies were definitely about growth, and then what we get with this character is the full-fledged Spider-Man that most people will probably say is more traditional Spider-Man. It leaves the door open for more, but if this is also where the character story ends, it makes total sense and it works. And I was very happy. I didn't cry. I got emotional on certain scenes. And I'll talk about that in the spoiler review. But I think the hype is real. I think the cameos, the reveals, the action, the character work, I think it's all great. It reminded me a lot of Days of Future Past. It's an X-Men movie that came out probably 10 years ago at this point. But it reminds me a lot of Days of Future Past, but I think it does it better than Days of Future Past did. So, that is my review, my non-spoiler review for Spider-Man No Way Home. I tried really hard to make sure I didn't accidentally spoil anything from the movie, but let me know your thoughts, your non-spoilery thoughts in the comments down below. And watch out, there will be a spoiler review. I'm actually going to record it right after this. So look forward to that as well. I just want to say thank you so much for watching this and all my videos. I really do appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, hi, my name's Will. Like I said at the beginning, I do this sort of thing, sort of geekiness around the internet. Do it for fun. It's a hobby. If it's your bag, if you're into movie reviews and trailer reactions, or just a nice chocolate hairy homo talking about movies and geeky stuff, why not subscribe to the channel? I'm trying to figure out a better way to close these videos out. If that's your bag, why not subscribe to the channel? I'd love to get to know you. I'd love to talk to you. I love having conversations with people. I'm super close to 400 subscribers. It would be awesome if you can help nudge me over there. I can't get there without the help of you people at home. So it would make my day. Hopefully this made your day as well. I've got a ton of videos on the channel right now. There will be a spoiler review that should be online by the time you finish this one. So check that out. You can follow me on multiple social media platforms listed at the end of the video. Like, share, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. And as always, until next time, I will catch you later. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you did like this video, why not give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends? You can subscribe to the channel by clicking on my gorgeous little face right over there. You can follow me on all the various social media platforms right below. And last but certainly not least, if you've got a few extra minutes, why not check out one of the lovely videos floating right over here. Later.